I was sitting at home and my wife looks at me and she says, I can tell something's on your mind. What's wrong? I said, well, I'm trying to decide how many marathons I need to run this weekend. So about a week into the competition, Todd makes an Instagram video where he is analyzing the current situation, current mileage, and he does Todd math, is what we'll call it, and comes up with about 40 miles that he's behind. Now the problem with Todd math is that it is oftentimes incorrect, and in this case it absolutely was. So many of us in the comments pointed out that, Todd, you're actually over 50 miles behind. On top of that, I've had some people ask me, well, Jeremiah, do you feel bad about racing Todd given the fact that he's competing against other people, every month up till now? He's got to be tired. Do I feel guilty is the question I'm getting. And my answer is not the slightest bit. Like, it's a competition. He called us out last year. This is our chance at redemption. He was pretty petty in 2019, and I wouldn't mind just absolutely crushing him in 2020. I have no remorse. So I'm just going to keep bringing it. So I wanted to show real quick how I'm keeping track of all the miles this month, because that is a very important thing when racing Todd. I created a spreadsheet here that has the dates of the month, my miles, Todd's miles, totals at the bottom, difference each day, and also the total difference. I have today's date here, which is a formula, changes every day for me, and this is how many days remain. So the final date minus today's date. And this is how many miles Todd needs to run more than me each day in order to catch me. So I, as an example, ran 8.12 today. If Todd runs 0 and wakes up tomorrow morning, one less day, then, tomorrow he would need to run almost 5 miles more than me per day. I don't think that's going to happen because I think Todd is a little scared right now. The other way that I look at data is to go to Strava on the desktop, go into my profile, scroll down, and you can click on the monthly mileage. You can see that I have 198.9. That confirms and adds up 189.9, just to make sure I have my numbers right in my spreadsheet. The other thing is, if you go to Todd's profile, he is gracious enough to publicly share his training log off to the side. And training log can show how many miles a day, a different way to break it down. So May 1st was right here. He took a rest day. Foolish. And then every other day is the total mileage. You see he did 35 miles here where he did his last man standing. I scared the crap out of me. I didn't know how long he was going to go. Lots of 4.1 mile runs adding up to 35. So that's kind of what we're working with here, how I keep track of data, how I'm monitoring things as the month goes on. Oh, you weren't supposed to see that.
So yesterday, Jeremiah and his posse came running up on us while we were out running. Guy's a beast. I just can't seem to catch him this month.
All right, so 17 days down and 14 left to go. And yesterday I hit 2 big milestones. The first one was that I have now surpassed 250 miles for the month. That's a big one. The other milestone is now I am over 100 miles ahead of Todd. That's nuts, right? Because if I'm 50 miles ahead of Todd, if I'm 60 miles ahead of Todd, I'm still worried. He could do something crazy in a day and catch up. That's Todd the Terminator Chandler. That's how he got the crazy name. But 100 miles, I just don't think he can catch me anymore. So the question is, all right, 14 days left in the competition. What are the goals? I don't think the goal is just to beat Todd anymore. I think I've already done that. I don't see him catching up. So I'm going to set a few new goals. New goal number 1, to surpass Peter's record. Peter was the March competitor, to surpass his record of 350 miles. Okay, so do more than 350. But on top of that, I'd like to set another personal goal to try to hit 400. That just is a good round number. Might as well go for it, right? We'll see if I get it. The other goal is, when I look at the difference between Todd and I, the greatest difference that he's lost by so far was in January to Morgan. And he lost in that month by, I think, 120 mile gap between the two runners. So then my final goal now would to beat Todd by a greater margin than what Morgan did in January. So beat Todd by more than 125 miles. And I don't want to rub it into Todd every second I get. So, you know, if you're going to beat him, might as well beat him pretty bad, right? So a friend asked me, you know, Jeremiah, why do you keep running the distances you're running when you probably don't need to still win? And I think, to me, it just comes down to a mindset. There's a quote from an ultra runner that I like, Zach Miller, a professional athlete, where, and I won't get it right, but it's something along the lines of, you know, when people are winning at the end of a race, they back off, they slow down, you know, they do just enough to win. And to him, that's not good enough. You know, he always wants to do his best.
You never know when you're going to have that day. People ease off at the end, they've got in the bag, they've got another race coming up later in the season. Kind of want to do just enough to win. I always want to do my best.
And that's the spirit that I try to embrace. And I think for me, you know, it's not a traditional race with a traditional finish line, but for me, the finish line is 11:59 p.m. on May 31st. And I'm just going to see what I can do until then. And I'm really going to give it my best to try to keep putting out the mileage, to not do just enough to beat Todd. So I just finished a run at Swope Park. It's not a really hot day, but I got 13.1 miles, so I got a trail half marathon. It's in the 60s, and it's cloudy, so it should be reasonable to run out here, but the humidity. This is what I was carrying around out there. That's all sweat. Disgusting, right? All right, day 22 of the month. I'm over 300 miles in for this month, and my feet, my legs, my body, hurting a little bit, right? So I decided to treat myself today with some fresh new Hoka Cliftons. God, those colors. Memorial Day weekend, we're dropping some red, white, and blue shoes. On Sunday, I hit over 355 miles for the month. And that was a big number. The reason why that's so important is it really accomplished three things. It accomplished one, I surpassed my highest month ever, which was 336 miles. I ran that last summer when I was training for the Leadville Trail 100 in Colorado. So I beat my own personal record. I also beat Peter's record of 350 miles for the month. So now I am the current holder of the highest mileage versus Todd Chandler in any given month. And I also beat Todd's record for the most months he's ever ran in a mile, which was 354. So I beat my own record, I beat Peter's, and I beat Todd's. And so that's why this weekend was a pretty good one for me.
Jeremiah, I am so amazed that doing the chart too on this was crazy, because it was like there wasn't even a moment when we were close. The closest day was the very first day when I was 27 miles away from you. when you had run 27 miles and I had run nothing. And then the gap just grew.
Some might say mission accomplished then on my part, if that was my goal from the start.
So with that, I present you with the certificate of awesomeness.
I have gotten some awards in my day. Diplomas, a PhD perhaps.
Right, you're a
but I
fucking
tell you
doctor.
what, I might take that one off the wall and put this one in its place.
Your wall's probably big enough that you could have both of them on there. Just make a bigger frame.
A bigger frame, yeah. I mean, I don't want to take away, I don't want to dilute the importance of this with other, insignificant